Thank you, Nicole. Thank you very much. Ian is reminds me before I start. If you know, if you want to see stand up, so let's start with young dance. All right, and there's a calling and go dance on the same day. So the moral of the story is if you went Fatima College or St. Mary's College, go dance because you'll embarrass yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, to Senator Wade Mark, Senator Damian Lider, to the political leader, the MND Gavin Nicholas, Nicole Dyer Griffith, the NCA governance team, executive members, party cooperation coordinators, candidates for the local government election, to the other members of the United National Congress, members of the media, good evening. So, we are here tonight, I have to be short because we're going way ahead. And we're looking at all the things that people spoke about. The veterans so far, and why do I work? Why have I been working? No, there's not 50 pounds. It is leadership by example. We have 31 candidates. And in these 31 candidates, everywhere I have gone, I've gone from Scorpion, Parish, Parham Hills, Simia Road, Casey Valley, Waterhole, Cocoreet, Arcatel, and going all the way down East West Corridor, inclusive of Point 14, and also San Fernando and next to San Fernando with my USC comrades. And everywhere I go, you keep hearing the same thing: an absence of leadership, absence of governance. We have never seen the political leader appear in any of the spaces, and spaces have been seen as peer territory. And just like the leader, the councillors has been on this action since 2019. And that's why I want to give you assurance to the public here today. I'm not here to win the passion. I think we have a way measure and form quantity. And you can see it, you can see by the actions and attitudes. We are truly tall. When you hear a prime minister state where the results on 14th of August doesn't matter, that is someone they've already considered. They know that they can deal with it. So what they're doing now is to try to speak about local government reform. I just want to clarify something with this about local government reform. It is a lie. The angle that they've been trying to push to justify citizens of this country to vote based on local government reform. If the NF wins 14-0 on the 14th of August, if they lose 14-0, it does not make a difference for local government reform. Local government reform comes from changing the constitution. Changing the constitution comes from the 41 members of parliament from central government. So the line we are pushing to you is that we must vote for all candidates to win local government election for local government reform. That is a lie. It does not matter. In fact, since 1956, we have been pushing this local government reform. 1956, 1981, and 1991. It is an excuse. They love to do this. It is always something in the future. I ask you all, do not come and vote for anyone based on a plan for a policy. You have to vote based on performance. You have to look at what they have achieved. Several people were here as candidates. They were there from 2010 to 2013 under the People's Partnership. And people saw those councillors working, delivering. And that is what we intend to do. 10 years later, they have seen nothing. There's a place when I went with Russell Chan in Cocoreet. There's about 20 meters of rubbish piled on the road. So half of the road is covered with old refrigerators, televisions, and so forth. And in that whole area, the councillor lives opposite, and she watches that, and for the last 7 months. And that's what people want to experience. It can't happen. So what we have done now is go to campaign on the local government reform and character assassination. The nasty, the vindictive, the good things about you. And I'm glad that we all know that situation about family. So the basic now is that we're a family. And she stole my thunder. But that is exactly it. We are a family of 147,000 strong. And this third party, the Bridge constituency, whatever you call it, it started in 1981 under the ONR. It then moved in 1991 to 127,000 under the NAR. It then moved to 2007 to 147,000 under the COP. And now we have the NTA. In 10 years, it might be something else. The fact is that bridge constituency continues to build. I want to take this opportunity now to explain, not to the persons here, because you're all going to vote for the NTA, but for the hundreds of thousands of persons who will be watching this and trying to understand the reason for this. Trinidad and Tobago, we have seen the worst government in the history of this country. And why? I live in Mocha, and I see my prime minister more than anyone else, because right in Mocha is the golf course. So this man is the prime minister of golf. He plays golf 4 days a week, from 7 a.m. to midday, and then until 2 p.m. line with the boys. And my 4 special branch officers have to be enduring the sunlight. He's never in office. As the commissioner of police, I had to see him about 17 occasions for different things. On most occasions, he wanted to see me to find out how long is it taking me to arrest political opponents, because that is the nature of the beast. And in the 17 times that I met him, it is always at the prime minister's residence. The man has never, he does not go in his office. And when you have that absence of leadership, that is what I intend to do. I intend to lead by example. It wasn't as commissioner of police, I will be on the ground with my troops. You have to motivate those under your command. You have to be with them. You have to be prepared to let them know I will do every single thing that I am prepared to let you do. That is leadership by example. And with that leadership is why I give the assurance to the public, to the country, that you vote for those persons in whichever district, I would be there. It wasn't by chance that I gave out my number 482 Gary when I was commissioner of police. I wanted to make sure I was accessible. Accessibility is critical towards governance, towards serving people. And that is what we intend to do. When you vote for these councillors in the PNM since 2019, since 2016, since 2013, you cannot find them until a few months before the next election. Enough is enough. So as we speak about the family, in that family aspect, we have 2 ministers in the PNM that pushed and had a concern about this, about the NTA family. And I wish to thank them. It is because of the incompetence of these 2 ministers that have caused the NTA and the UNC that is going to defeat them. That is Rohan Sinanan. As the Minister of Works and Transport, it is a disaster. Thanks to Rohan Sinanan. Thank you for your incompetence, because you have given us the window to have you replaced. And also Marvin Gonzalez. Marvin Gonzalez was the individual who spoke about the problem, about the concern of us being a family. Well, I could easily feel proud to show my family, Marvin Gonzalez. Show me yours. And let me tell you, and Marvin Gonzalez, he speaks a lot of nonsense. And he reminded me so much about a singer that I really liked in my days when I was a young person. It was a song because everything he says is about hearsay. And it reminds me of the song I heard it through the grapevine. And that singer is Marvin Gaye. So I will refer to them as Marvin Gaye Gonzalez from now on, because he reminds me so much of that song. I heard it through the grapevine. So Marvin Gonzalez, you touch my family, we're coming after you. Because you have also proven to be the most incompetent minister other than Rohan Sinanan. And you have the audacity. This is the clown who said that it doesn't matter if you change the Minister of National Security, it will be the same thing. That is the standard of Marvin Gaye Gonzalez. That is the standard of the PNM. We have a different standard. We measure performance. We make people accountable. We have good leadership. And with that, we will ensure that we have good persons in the right places. We didn't just pick people out of the streets. We were very careful and analytical in the persons we selected. So when it is PNM speaks about the people that they have, let me tell you something. The batting lineup that we have, it is a powerful batting lineup. Not like the West Indies cricket team, a real batting lineup. The West Indies in the 80s. And that batting lineup, we are speaking about individuals, 2 persons who were previous PNM councillors. Another one who for 20 years was the #1 hockey goalkeeper for the national hockey team, played in the Pan Am Games, the Commonwealth Games. We also have someone who was also the captain of the national senior men's football team, the coach of the national women's football team, the #1 goalkeeper for the Soca Warriors for 10 years. We have someone who was a national under-17, under-20, under-23 player. We also have one of them here tonight. He was the last Trinidad and Tobago player to score a hat-trick for Trinidad and Tobago in any international game. That is Karen Ballpest Cummins. And there's a reason why we handpick people like this, as well as persons versed in culture, arts, and the community to build a community. Building a community plays a big part in the development of a country. So when people go back to this situation, people need to understand the reason for this. Because I have heard, and you will hear the concerns, well, why UNC supporters, some of them will say, oh, why you joined with the NTA? NTA, why did you join with the UNC? So let me clarify it not to those who are here, for you all to understand. It is not by chance that 31 of the 45 US presidents had military service, because military service trains you in the arts of war, tactics, strategy. And that's the same thing I did from being trained at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, where Queen Elizabeth's sons also attended. We were able to understand how to win wars, how to win battles, and politics is an art of war. And in that battle, we were able to do the maths. Every single time the political parties outside of the PNM go alone, the PNM wins. Every single time. Other than one occasion, and that government lasted a few months. On the other hand, every single time that there's a coalition, the PNM is defeated. In 1986, in 1995, in 2010 general election, and in 2010 local government election. The data is there. So when people ask, why did you join? You are basically saying that I prefer for Keith Rowley to remain than for you to join with anybody else. And if that is your concern, that is your choice. But in this situation where we have a dictator, a man who is full of hate, bitterness, and every single thing he does is to attack every single person, is that what you want as a government? Is that what you want as a prime minister? Is that what you want as a leader? So the maths now is that for every 100 votes, for example, the PNM will get 40, the UNC will get 35, the NT will get 25. Or in some places, the NT will get 35, the UNC will get 25. So if we go in a 3-horse race, the PNM wins. We go in a 2-horse race, the 35 plus the 25, do the maths, defeats the PNM. So if it is that people are concerned about your safety and security, your most fundamental right is that of safety and security. And if it is you want Gary Griffith to come and serve you, to work for you, to make your borough, your corporation, your city safer, the only way it can be done is for us to have a strategic alliance with our neighbors, the UNC. And because of that, again, I want to ask persons to understand what is happening on August the 14th. Please understand, it is similar to 2010. Again, in 2010, the seats that we have, the 31 seats, if you look at it in 2019, there was a gap. But in 2010, those same seats, the majority of those seats, we won. And that's why we won the Diego Martin Corporation. We won Tunapuna, Piarco. We won in Arima. We won San Fernando. And the data is looking like we can actually take Point 14 as well. So let us understand the importance of working as a team. And again, as I said, the problem that may have existed in 2010, it was probably something that was rushed because there was a snap election. We are being very analytical. We are going to have a structure. There's going to be a proper foundation. So to all of those persons who are NTA supporters, whether you're ONR, NAR, COP, NTA, that third constituency, that bridge constituency, I ask you that to go on 14th of August, and if you see the rising sun, that UNC candidate, you vote for that candidate. If it is you see this year, that is the symbol you're going to see on the National Transformation Alliance with that lighthouse. You vote for that person. And also to my UNC brothers and sisters, similar. If it is that you are a UNC member and you have an NTA person in your area, you vote for that person. This has to be done. It is the only way it can be done. And I give you the assurance, there's a saying that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. We work together as a team, we can have the best governance, and we can serve you best. I again want to explain the concern of these other parties. There's another party. You know, you take a red jersey and you wash it many times it turns orange. So that party, understand, as irrelevant as they are, in local government election, when that party could say get 80 votes, that's the most they will get. That 80 or in 50, in this election, PNM could win a seat by 20 or 30. So understand, to each and every person who wants to vote for someone who seems to be some kind of a weird case of there, who just argues, attacks. The man is like Keith Rowley reloaded. Well, it fits in well because it's the PNM A team and the PNM B team. And they are going there with a purpose. Anytime you are not in government or opposition, and you spend all of your time speaking about a political leader in another party that is not in government or opposition, is either he's in love with me, is either he has something wrong in his head, or he has an agenda. So somebody could please tell Philip that I'm married. So let me leave me alone. But as I said, he is because Norman, what it is, he has to fix it. Yeah. So Marvin Gaye Gonzalez, Philip Alexander, leave me alone. And if it is you feel that your job is to attack, to be bitter, to be nasty, we are doing just the opposite. Our job is to build, to be productive, to develop. And it continues where, even just a few hours ago, the main social media blogger who continues to spit lies, or another orange head. I don't know what it is with them and the red and the orange. So she now, we just dropped an injunction on her because what she has been doing is based on somebody who has been hired by the Ministry of Finance to be in a job where it is we're still waiting to see what are her terms and conditions, how she got there, what was the process for her to have applied. And she spends all her time attacking the UNC and the NTA. Well, I just dropped an injunction on her and it has been approved by the court because they've seen what she has been doing. Just before I close, I know what time we can there? Okay, I have another 2 hours. Okay. I ask you all, do not select based on blind loyalty. Judge us by our performance. Judge us by what we have achieved. The PNM could outfinance us in this election, but they cannot outperform us. You look at the things that would have been achieved under my watch as Minister of National Security and Kamala Prasad Bisesa, under my watch as Commissioner of Police. We are speaking about a situation at a time where it was the lowest reduction, the highest reduction in serious crime in 2013 to 2015. It was the highest reduction in violent crime in my last year as Commissioner of Police. Public trust and confidence in the police grew from 14 to 55%. 89% of the population wanted someone to remain as Commissioner of Police. We transformed the police service to the point that people started trusting and believing in the police service. We brought in technology to put an end to kidnapping, to put an end to home invasion. We put systems for high visibility, a rapid response, such as the Emergency Response Patrol, the Rapid Response Unit, the Community Comfort Patrol, the Special Operational Response Team that peg back and send criminals back to where they belong. Put in the type of training that we had. We had drones, we had the Maritime Unit, we had the E99 system, we had the Commissioner's Command Center, we had the Operational Command Center, we had the National Operations Center that was approved by the Commission of Inquiry into the attempted coup. We were able to acquire diamond vessels for $1.2 billion less than the effective OPVs because they keep speaking about OPVs. So Minimi Stewart spoke about OPVs recently. And I challenge anybody in the PNM at any time, take me on a debate about this OPV. Let me clarify this OPV situation. I asked you all when you leave here, the OPVs were acquired by a company called BAE. Type BAE/corruption. You will find 17 countries sued BAE for paying kickbacks to government officials. So the cost of the BAE OPVs that they wanted would have been 800 million TT per vessel. When I was a national security advisor, I did research and I liaised with the governments in Colombia, Israel, and Korea. And we were getting the exact OPVs for $400 million each. $1.2 billion in excess. And that is why they're upset. Because they wanted to bring these vessels. And then even when they brought these vessels, we did not have the manpower to man 2 of those 3 vessels. So they would have remained there. So with what the next Minimi, Imbert, he had the hostile vessels. If anybody goes to Anchorage, if you're heading down in Chaguaramas, you go to Anchorage, you will see 6 vessels that have been parked up there, just floating for the last 15 years. He acquired these vessels, and in 3 months, they were all defective. Because I went to Australia, I went to Perth, and I spoke to Ostal, and Ostal said, sir, we knew those vessels were for lakes, but the PNM came here and they said they wanted those vessels, and we said, hey, if you're bubbly, we sell it to you. And we lost tens upon tens of millions of dollars acquiring those 6 hostile vessels. It's right by Hartscott. You will see them all there. 15 years, they've never been used. And the Coast Guard did not ask for them. This is the same thing they did with the hostile vessels again. The dormant vessels that we had, there's 13 or 15 countries have the same dormant vessels. The hostile vessels they acquired recently, 2 countries have the same vessels, Australia and Trinidad and Tobago. And we have spent hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars to bring those hostile vessels here when we had the dormant vessels that have not been used for several years because of pettiness and ignorance by a PNM government that said, because the UNC purchased it, we're not going to use it. And so if we had we used those dormant vessels, the hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars for the hostile vessels that were brought in could have dealt with all the roads, the drainage, the lights, and all everything we require in local government that an incompetent prime minister is trying to justify by stating, well, I'm sorry, I apologize for not fixing the roads, but we had no money. You had no money because of your incompetence and your mismanagement in knowing how to balance the budget. So I don't want to stay too long, but just before I close again, I want to go back to what Nicole spoke about, where it is that today it was me, tomorrow it could be you. We are on the verge of a police state. And the reason I say that is that situation with the merit list, I found the documents, we found the minutes from the Police Service Commission. At no time did they ever withdraw the merit list. You know, our media, unfortunately, they don't like to step out of the crease. They're afraid that they get stumped out. But not one member of the media ever contacted any of those previous Police Service Commission members to ask, why? Why did you resign? Well, I could tell you why. The 3 of them resigned in disgust because of the interference by politicians in trying to direct an independent body. And then, when we found the minutes, at no time did they ever withdraw the merit list. So it meant that the person who was in charge, who had the letterhead, broke the law. So you'll see that after 2 years, old McDonald Jacob and Earl Christopher decided to not go and investigate that matter. And if the investigation had taken place, in 4 days, that investigation would have been completed. Because you speak to the 3 Police Service Commission members, they did not approve it, they did not approve it, they did not approve it. She broke the law, misbehavior in office. Why they don't want to do that? Because on the plea bargaining, when you speak to that individual who was the previous chairman who broke the law, she may very well, on the plea bargaining, agree and admit why she was influenced, why she was forced to do so, who interfered and who harassed her to break the law. And that person might very well be arrested. And that is the end of that government. And the same thing happened with the Brent Thomas matter. I was the Minister of National Security. I was a Commissioner of Police. No police officer could ever leave this country without approval from the Minister of National Security. So Fitzgerald Hines and Keith Rowley, I'm saying no. Take me to court. You're lying. The government approved that for the police officers to go to Barbados. And the reason why it is so important that we get back in government is to again amend the Constitution. Because what we have is known as creeping dictatorship. It is known as democratic dictatorship, where it is we feel it is democracy, but one man and one man alone handpicks a president who handpicks persons, and you call it an independent body. He handpicks virtually the Chief Justice, the Commissioner of Police, the Chief of Defense Staff, and with that, it means that that is dictatorship. So what happened now is that the Police Service Commission would have been handpicked by a president who was handpicked by a prime minister. You change the Police Service Commission, and a lady who placed 22nd in all the applications for commissioner and deputy commissioner, all of a sudden, and I call it Earl's name, but somebody who placed 22nd, all of a sudden she comes first. Somebody who got 3.67 out of 15 for media role play, that's why she is afraid of the media, who got 3 out of 15 being fit for the position, you now place her first. And then 2 of the persons in the Police Service Commission, one is a speaking consultant and one is an accountant. They have no knowledge or anything about national security or law enforcement. That is why, do not blame Erla. She was imposed upon us because of an incompetent Police Service Commission that was handpicked by a president who also broke the law because she refused to do what she was supposed to do based on the Constitution. That is what we have to endure. We have a prime minister who is trying his best to control the police service. When a prime minister decides to tell a commissioner of police, I am giving you $45 million. You are to take this money and to target political opponents to investigate them. That is dictatorship. Nowhere else in the world that something like this could take place, and he's still the prime minister. But then, when I asked for $95,000 to hire an engineer because of an investigation that the police would have been doing, where hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars based on an oil claim, and we are checking it, and and that report I got made for disturbing reading. You refused to give me that $95,000. So it shows that the government wanted to pump funds into the police service to target political opponents of the government. But if they were close friends of the government, you didn't want to touch. And I just want to touch finally on that thing with a firearm user's license. The man has ramaged about it. He played his hand and lost. 2 years later, not one person has even been questioned as it pertains to bribery or corruption for firearms because he was a liar. But what he figured is, listen, the one thing the PNM is good at, you say the same lie over and over and people will believe you. It worked with Emailgate. You take a document, type it, 21 typographical errors. I have an 8-year-old nephew that laughed and realized this could never be emails. And you put that in Parliament. He loves to go to Parliament because Parliament is the one place you could lie and not be sued. And that is why he wanted to take handpicked civilians, turn them into investigators, let them type out a report costing hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' dollars that he pays through based on the taxpayers, and then they give you a report with lies, and then he wanted to run back to Parliament like the coward that he is, so that he could try to defame me. And the court told him, hey, pull up, selector. That ain't happening. And that therein lies the problem with the individual. So with firearms, this excuse for a prime minister has the audacity to lie to say, well, Gary was giving firearms to everyone. I gave out 4,000 firearms. Half of those were to law enforcement officials, past and present, police officers, soldiers, sailors, customs officers, prison officers, because of our outdated system where as soon as you leave duty for the day, your weapon has to stay in the station and now you have to go home, that a hit could be put on you. So I gave out 2,000 to those individuals and 2,000 to persons who deserve it, who needed it. 2,000 out of over 50,000 outstanding applications. 2,000. That is 0.15% of the population, if I'm not served me right. And this joker is saying that that means giving it to everyone. And in that 2,000, during my watch, not one was lost, not one was stolen, not one was used for a crime, not one was used for a murder. In fact, hundreds of lives were probably saved. But the hypocrisy of Keith Rowley is that you keep barking about the fact that you do not want law-abiding citizens to have a fighting chance. Nicole Griffith, for 7 years, she has been pushing for pepper spray. They don't even want to give pepper spray because they're probably afraid that the criminals will be hurt. So they find more time and concern about the scales of justice continuing to be tilted towards criminal elements rather than law-abiding citizens. So what happened is that with these firearms, again, as I said, over 50,000 applicants, 2,000 received it. And this man is stating that that is a problem. But between himself, Old MacDonald Jacob, and the Minister of National Insecurity, the three of them alone, over 70 applicants they sent to me. You remember when the Minister of National Insecurity said, I've never asked the Commissioner of Police to fast-track firearms, and then bam, it showed, liar, liar, pants on fire. Again, it showed. So you want to give 70 firearms to your friends, the rich and famous, but what about the farmer? What about the small businessman? What about the person who wants to protect their family? So we have to change the law. Look what happened to that lady recently. She had the firearm of her husband. She pulled the firearm, protecting herself and her family. And now she could be charged for manslaughter because the weapon didn't belong to her. That is madness. And then you have a senior police officer stating, well, you have to use minimum force. So if somebody comes and breaks into your home with a big stone, you have to run and look for a stone. So you have to look for a big stone to have equal force. That has to be the most stupid police officer ever came out of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to say that. Because minimum use of force means that you must equate it. No, you don't. So I am not here to debate about stand your ground. I am here to talk castle doctrine, where it is that if it is that somebody is breaking into your home, don't tell me that I must not use a firearm because you are with a cutlass or you have a big stone. And Trinidad and Tobago, I'm telling you from now, if you want a firearm, if you want a right to protect yourself because of the state's inability to protect you, vote for the UNC and the NTA. So as I close, I ask all of you all to send that message. Spread the word. let them understand that on the 14th of August, send that loud and clear message to Keith Rowley, enough is enough. I ask all of you all, vote for your NT or UNC candidates. Let us work together as a team and let us bring it home on August the 14th. I thank you.
Yeah, baby, you know, it's all about MTA. Here we go. Somebody say